Hello, my name is Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we again venture to the red planet Fourth from the Sun and talk about Terraforming Mars. Still currently sitting pretty at the tippy top of my top 100 games list. We have convened today in order to go a little bit deeper than our last video and this time provide 5 advanced tips to take your TR straight to the top. We'll dabble in some theory crafting, but mostly this is about peeling back the next layer of strategy now you've mastered the basics. This will also be accompanied by another similar video, each with their own area of concern. Today's offering will focus more on the engine building side of things, and the other will take a closer look at the surface of Mars, aka the bald state. So ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Number 1. Ask yourself, did they put energy in the game just for the lols? Why would I want to wait a turn for my heat, baby? Give me it now. Well, that right there is where you're going wrong. Don't think of energy as a precursor to heat. Think of it as the little resource that could. Do you not wonder why there are so many cards that want you to reduce your energy production for the wonderful upside to happen? Or how when you step back and think about how energy can be directly or indirectly transformed into most other resources, and so by extension global parameters and TR. Underestimate energy at your peril. It's one of the main ways you can adapt to the tempo of a game and alter your game plan without breaking too much of a sweat. Trust me, the minute you stop thinking of energy as just a poor man's heat and more like a means to open up other doors, the more games you'll be in the running for the top spot. Number 2. What good is card draw without the economy to back it up? Terraforming Mars has many layers of strategy, and card advantage in so many other games is a real upside to a game plan. But because every project card has a direct or indirect cost, you actually want only the number of cards in your hand that you can realistically play in the short and medium term. If you assume every card starts as a net loss of 3 mega credits that you want a return on investment from, then you're in the right headspace. It seems obvious to say it out loud, but you want the right cards more than you want the more cards. In other words, don't overextend yourself expecting everything to go just the way you want it to. Remember, there may be other people round the table looking to foil your best laid plans. And as a side note, card draw can also be intrinsically linked with the science tags, so there are some useful synergies here if you decide to flirt with this approach. Number 3. Try to learn quick techniques to assessing the quality and inherent value of a card. This is a game at its mechanical heart about converting money into points. So if you start to distill the resource outlay for a project card with the return in victory points, you'll start to notice patterns and become better at eyeballing whether a card is good or bad for you in a given scenario. Naturally, one that increases your TR has better value in the earlier turns, as you'll recoup some of that outlay in mega credit production. But if most cards have that sliding scale of value, then take a step further back and consider these 2 things. First, how many points am I directly getting from this card? Normally in terraforming rating or actual victory points, which don't forget has diminishing returns in the early and mid game. But then how much am I getting indirectly? Generally in the form of resources or an equivalent. And you can use standard projects as a baseline for this. For example, if a greenery costs you 23 mega credits in a vacuum, then 1 plant is worth roughly 3 credits, as 8 plants equals 1 greenery. These tools then allow you to deconstruct each card's approximate value, and there is theory out there on the interwebs that suggests you should consider excellent value to be spending 5 mega credits or less per victory point. Number 4. As a general rule when assessing project cards, you can reasonably have confidence in 3 things being true. One is that expensive event cards that have multiple rewards like Deimos Down and Giant Ice Asteroid will give you the greatest bang for your buck. That principle still applies somewhat on automated green cards, but any that have fixed victory points on them will generally be less valuable. even near the end of the game, because in all probability you won't get the return on investment from the other rewards. Secondly, cards with global requirements will generally be good value. The issue is that they often have a limited window of opportunity. So these types of cards that you can get a number of generations out of them in terms of return on investment will be better than those that don't. For example, let's say you play a card with a minimum -2 degrees, but that global parameter is way ahead of the others, meaning that the temperature is comparatively high. You should then ultimately get good value in the long run. Finally, and the most obvious one, but native points on cards don't usually represent good value. The reason for that is that they're either at odds with building your economy early game, and conversely come with rewards that present less value to you late game. Number 5. Don't value engine over medium term efficiency. By that I mean do not sacrifice an impactful next turn by maxing out your expenditure on the current one. Case in point, you have the means to increase your TR by 1 on turn 2 by increasing a global parameter, but any ancillary benefits on the card are kind of meh. And you have a much more impactful card that you couldn't quite play this turn, but that pushes your game plan to a much higher degree. Remember in this instance that all you're getting is 1 extra mega credit for the 1 turn. Furthermore, if a great card is on the more expensive side, you might find yourself continuing to hold on to it in your hand because you want to maximise your expenditure each turn. This is a quite common trap to fall into. So do yourself a favour, make a quick calculation of the return on investment for both approaches over, let's say, 3 or 4 turns, and then make the right play accordingly. So there you have it, 5 easy to remember engine and economy building tips to take your terraforming to the next level. Stay tuned for more videos in this series. However, that's it from me. I'll see you next time.